All right, let's get up in here. We're gonna be talking about, why ruminating is so hard the first 6 months after a narcissist, and what can you do about it? And shout out to everybody today too, tuning in, listening. I think this is pretty important, in your evolution of understanding narcissism, but also understanding yourself as well, and understanding how certain things are supposed to go, the do's and don'ts, the whys and the hows and all these things. And for the most part, when many of you make it out of the situation with a narcissist, you don't start getting an understanding of what actually happened until you get into stuff like this, where you're listening to videos and you're coming across information and whatnot. And then there's that point of accepting what happened, the acceptance part, accepting the fact that they didn't love you, accepting the fact that you got played, accepting the fact that they never liked you. A lot of this is really hard to wrap your head around, because you're sitting back now, you know out of a situation that you invested so much into, believed so much in, and you're sitting back now wondering, how did it get to this point where everything is done, where the person who you thought loved you appears to cannot stand you, is like an enemy now. How did it get to this point? So you're constantly thinking about this. You're constantly playing this out in your head. Um, just a lot of remembering, just a lot of going over things, and a lot of times, because of how um, traumatic these narcissistic relationships are, some people develop PTSD from it. They just do. I mean, it is. This is why it's highly recommended that you get some type of therapy as well. A lot of people try to wing it. That's fine, but they'll still be in the same place. I can guarantee 3, 5 years later down the line, they're still stuck. They're still in fear of what played out and what happened. They still ruminate. They haven't moved on, or they go to an extreme shutdown, right? See, a lot of times the hurt gets confused, right? When you go through this with a narcissist, um, because a lot of what you went through with them, it's this hurt, all of these things, when you start to reflect on your life and how these type of situations just seem to keep playing out, at least, and happening to you over and over again. Not just with the narcissist. When you sit back after this is done and you're the ruminating and stuff, that's not just ruminating, you're reflecting too, and you're looking at your life like, wow, I've seen this situation play out before in some sort of form. You've seen it. You've seen this play out with family members, friends, other relationships, and so on. And it keeps happening. These type of hurts linger and creates a lot of confusion. A lot of confusion. Why is it that a lot of times the people who you pour most of yourself into and who you love the most be the exact ones to hurt you the most? Why is it that the people who you love the most hurt you the most? This is where it comes down to, because all of the ruminating and stuff like that is it's gonna do what it do, right? The ruminating is gonna happen, but the point is, uh, it's happening not just in this situation, not just because you had this with the narcissist, but it's happened before. When you start to look at your life and the interactions of people you deal with. Now, it may not be as strong as other situations, but nonetheless, you still ruminate, right? When you're giving your love and self like that, you're giving up a big part of yourself in that way, at least. It causes you to self neglect. In most of these instances, you're moving with reckless abandonment. You're just going all out because this is something you believe in, something you feel like you should do, and you move so strong and passionately about it that you're not even worried about yourself. You're just trying to pour this love out, give love, show love. And the reason why we're doing it, the reason why we give love, there is an expectancy. I don't care what you say. You're giving love because you expect something from it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, when you're doing this, most of the people that you're giving this love to don't even want your love. They don't even want the love that you're giving to them. They only want your services. Your love was unnecessary. It was an add on, but you were giving it along with your services. You didn't understand the transaction, right? Love should be reserved for certain instances, for certain people. Your love is like a deposit. When you put love down, it's supposed to secure certain things from whatever individual you're giving it to. It's supposed to secure appreciation, acts of kindness, genuineness, loyalty, respect, and to reflect back ultimately the same love that you're giving out to them. But in these cases where you end up ruminating and thinking, when you put your love down as a deposit on these individuals, you got nothing back in return as far as love. You got a transactional type of interaction from them. It's like if you put a deposit down on a house, right? You keep putting, putting like 5,000 every month. You're trying to work your way up, right? And you're paying, you're putting this down because obviously you want the money to go towards the house to lower the payment, right? So you put $5,000 down for a whole year. That means you're supposed to have $60,000 as a deposit. But if the person who you were putting the deposit down for was not putting it towards the house, you've just done all that work for nothing. And now there was nothing added to it to, you know, minimize the cost of the house with the down payment. So nothing was done. You're just out a whole year of paying $5,000. If you love hard, and you're putting your love down as a deposit to people who can't afford it or appreciate it, it will get lost. It will be all for nothing. And in the end, when you sit back and think about everything and you're ruminating, this is all everything that goes into the pot for this that makes it make you feel that way. You can never try to secure someone with love. They have to be worthy of it. They have to understand how to appreciate and value love. You can't give a Rolls Royce or a Bentley to a classless person. They're not going to treat it the same way. They're not going to take care of it the same way. Same thing that goes for your love. You give it to certain people, they're not gonna value it the same way. And most certainly for narcissists, they cannot value love in any way. They don't even love themselves. All right. When people hear that, well, it seems a little cliche, but it's true. If you don't love yourself, you can't appreciate and recognize love from someone else. If someone else doesn't care or treat themselves right. And this is what can be confusing about a narcissist, because with narcissism, it's all self indulgent, right? It's a selfish type of disorder. It makes them focus only on themselves being the most important factor, right? So we have selfishness. And this is what I mentioned a while ago about having a healthy level of selfishness. Some of you are too selfless. It has to be a healthy balance. You give too much of yourself without regard. You're always trying to help others, please others. You don't want to let other people down. That's unhealthy because it will lead to neglect of yourself in the end. And this is always a sign when you're just throwing out love and um, parts of yourself that you shouldn't be, is when you're neglecting yourself. When you don't stop and take the time to say, what about me though? No, I need right now. And I'm not just going to say it, I'm going to demand it for right now. Now, I may not be in this state all the time, but I have to make that known that I do care about myself just as much as you care about yourself. Listen, folks, you have to make that declaration and you know, remind yourself of that. You have to be able to remind yourself that you care about yourself just as much as the other person who you're trying to love and care for. You have to make that known to them. You care about yourself just as much as they care about themselves. You want for yourself just as much as they want for themselves. You need to. And you have to make this known to certain, because certain people just won't get it. They won't acknowledge it. They won't give you that. Some things you heard the saying, closed mouth don't get fed. Some things people aren't going to do, and you may feel like you shouldn't have to say it. But with some people, as you'll learn in this life, you have to say it, because they go by on auto program, on autopilot. They're not thinking that if they're receiving something, that, wait a minute, maybe I should give back. Maybe I should show more appreciation. Maybe I should do that. Because here's the thing, folks. In these situations, these narcissists, with being self centered and so much about themselves, this is not things that they're going to think about. And in fact, this is a lot of people in general. If you don't make it known, they'll just go by taking and taking. That inch and taking a mile is real. It's human nature. And you have to be aware of this, that this is human nature. For the narcissist, though, it's intentional. For regular people, it just, they're just unaware. Their situational awareness is not where it needs to be. For a narcissist, they're aware that they're getting more than they're giving, that they're receiving more than they're giving. They're aware of that. They know that. But they'll continue to operate in that way and continue to get to receive and not give back. You have to be aware of this. You are responsible for checking this. It's up to you. This is the way. What can you do about it, at least moving forward? You have to be aware of the exchange in anything. In most cases, nature, the universe, has a natural system of balances. Everything has to have a balance in order to work at its most efficient placement or operation. Whenever something goes unbalanced, there's going to be a problem. And that's what you have to be aware of. So, what can you do about it moving forward? Make sure that you are properly assessing the situation correctly and not giving out, right? Unnecessarily, not neglecting yourself, right? Not putting your love as a deposit into people who can't afford it or who can't appreciate it or who can't value it. These are just some of the things you can focus on moving forward. Anyway, I'm going to cut it short here. Make sure to like, subscribe. Any consultations of interest you want, reach out to me. The link's in the description. Shoot me an email. I'll get back in touch with you on how to go about doing that. Until next time, have a good one.